and we'll do it live. We'll do it live. Okay, so check it out. There's some guy, I don't know what his name is, but he's a Latin American gangbanger, right? And he has been deported back to El Salvador, and the news media is all reporting on it, and they're all reporting on it the same way as if they're reading from a script. Let me see if I can find you some of these. This is hilarious, man. Here, let's start with this idiot. Make sure my volume's up. So listen to this. They all say the exact same thing. Listen to this.
The case of a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador.
Okay, look. Did you hear that? I'm going to play that again. I got to play that again. A Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. Well, first of all, he's not a Maryland man. He's a citizen. He's a citizen of El Salvador, and it wasn't a mistake. He wasn't mistakenly deported. He was deported on purpose by the executive branch of the United States of America. But here's the thing: every single media outlet, including all the Republican radio stations, when they have their news breaks, they all report it the exact same way without deviation. This is what I've heard all day. Every time they do one of these news breaks about this subject, this is exactly what they say, as if they're reading from a script.
Begin this hour with the case of a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador.
A Maryland man, no. Who was mistakenly deported, no, to El Salvador. He's an El Salvadorian gang member who was intentionally deported. So the story, the way every news media is reporting this is completely nonsensical and doesn't make sense. And this is Face the Nation, right? Face the Nation. A hearing will be held in federal court in the deportation of, I don't want to even say the guy's name, a Maryland man who was deported to an El Salvador prison. He's not a Maryland man. Oh, he's a Maryland man. Oh, he's a Maryland man. Oh, a Maryland man. They all keep saying, he's a Maryland man. And he has a family. Oh, and they miss him. As if Americans don't get thrown in prison and their family doesn't miss them. See what I mean? They do, and they say the same thing over and over and over. It's like, how can the media be that coordinated where this is their story? How can they be this coordinated? So, let me find another one. Here's CNN. I haven't clicked on this one. Let's just hear how they report this.
Now, President Trump is wrapping up a meeting with El Salvador President Nayib Bukele at the White House. The Central American leader has quickly become a close ally of President Trump's after taking in hundreds of alleged gang members from the U.S. and putting them in a notorious mega prison. One of the people detained at Seco prison is Kilmar Obrega Garcia, a Maryland father who was mistakenly deported.
Oh, a Maryland father who was mistakenly deported. No. But notice how they're all reading from the same script. He was a Maryland man. He was mistakenly deported. No, he wasn't. It wasn't a mistake. He was deported on purpose. There was no mistake made. But why are all these media stations reporting that it was a mistake? Reporting that he's a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. He's an El Salvadorian man. He shouldn't. Why is he here? Why is he in our country? Whose agenda is this? Whose agenda is this? Let's see if we can find another one about this person. Oh, okay. This is CBS News. Okay. Let's just listen to how they report on this.
The fallout from that bombshell Oval Office meeting yesterday set to play out before a judge today. Both sides are due back in court in a follow-up hearing for the man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. And here is where things stand right now. A U.S. district judge ordered the government to facilitate Kilmar Abrego Garcia's return to the United States. The U.S. Supreme Court unanimously upheld that ruling, but listen to what leaders had to say yesterday during an Oval Office meeting with the president of El Salvador when asked if they would bring Abrigo Garcia back home.
First of all, no, so she calls him, she says he was mistakenly deported. Why do they keep saying it? Why are they all saying that? Why are they all saying that? That is so lame. It's so obviously coordinated. And whoever's coordinating this, this is the problem that we have to overcome in America. All the media is coordinating around one guy who's an El Salvadorian man who is a gang member who carries out crimes in America on behalf of a network. And whatever this network is, it's got Face the Nation, CNN, and CBS, to name just three. There's more, but all those three major US media outlets are all reporting this on his behalf. On his behalf. Why? Like, who's, look, let me, if you, why do you think? Why do you think they're doing that? Do you think it's because they're liberal and they care about human rights? You're a flipping idiot if you think so. If you think that it's because they're liberal, you're insane and you're stupid, and you are part of the problem of why this country is failing. It's not because they're liberal. It's because they're a criminal network. They're a criminal gang, and this guy who who was deported, who they're shilling for, is part of their gang. He's part of their gang. He's part of their gang that originates in Rome, that originates with the Jesuit order, which originates at the Vatican. And that the Vatican has ties through Washington, D.C. and through U.S. media channels to tell you that he's a Maryland man and he was mistakenly deported. And they all say this exact same thing. And they're all reading from the exact same script because it's all coordinated by the intelligence services that Donald Trump doesn't have full control over. That Donald Trump doesn't have full control over. This is a rogue intelligence operation running these crime gangs, and this guy works for them, and that's why you have CNN and CBS and Face the Nation all telling you the same lie bullshit story. And if you think it's because they're liberal, then you're a clown. Now, who told you that it's because they're liberal? Sean Hannity did. And other people like him. The stupid right-wing bullshit media all says that they do this because they're liberal. And Sean Hannity will go on the air over and over and over and go, but because they're liberal. And he repeats that over and over and over and over. And so you go, oh yeah, the liberals, they're liberal and they're liberal. And that's why they're doing it. See? And you're stupid if you think that it's because they're liberal. And you've been brainwashed by idiots like Sean Hannity, who's been telling you for decades that it's because they're liberal. It's not because they're liberal. It's because of what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is they're criminals, and it's a criminal gang. And that's why they do it, because they're criminals, because it's organized crime. See, Sean Hannity, if you listen to the Sean Hannity show, it's because they're liberals. And if you listen to me, it's because it's an organized crime group. And Sean Hannity wears a little CIA pin on his lapel, and I don't, because I know that the CIA is a organized criminal organization. It's a criminal organization run on behalf of the Roman Vatican system. And I know that. And Sean Hannity is Catholic, and he supports the CIA. And that's why when Sean Hannity, that's why you lost your country the entire time. See, Sean Hannity's been on the air for decades, and Rush Limbaugh and all these other people, right? And the Ben Shapiro's and the Mark Levins and the Dennis Pregers, and they've all been telling you it's because of liberalism. And I'm telling you it's because of organized crime tied to the CIA and the FBI. Well, FBI maybe not so much anymore because you've got Kash Patel in there. And I think he's doing a good job. I think Kash Patel is doing a good job. And I think Kash Patel is the best thing that's happened to the FBI since, I don't know, has anything good ever happened to the FBI? It was, what was it? I think it was founded by, I don't know. I don't know the FBI has ever done anything good for America. I don't know. Kash Patel is, though, because he worked for Donald Trump. The CIA, though, that's another story. Because the CIA is international, it's got all kinds of offices and sections outside of America that aren't really accountable to the president, because there's no way for anybody to know what they're doing. And they keep it a secret because they're a secret society. So they keep secrets from the president. They run operations on the president, and they run operations against you, the American citizen. The CIA runs operations against you, and they use criminal gangs. They use criminal gangs from El Salvador. That's who the CIA is partnered with, just like they're partnered with ISIS, just like they're partnered with Al Qaeda. They are also partnered with these criminal gangs that are the most violent and run the drugs and run the human trafficking. The CIA is partnered with them. And that's why you have to sit and be subjected to their propaganda, not just on CNN, not just on CBS, not just on Face the Nation, but literally when I was driving around today in my truck and I'm listening to Republican AM radio stations, they'll have a news break. And during the news break, it'll repeat this exact same line: Maryland man mistakenly deported. That's the scripted line. Maryland man mistakenly deported. So you're some idiot with an IQ of like 65 and you're driving around in your car and you're on like 30 different pharmaceutical drugs, and plus you smoke you smoke marijuana, you drink beer, whatever you do, you're mentally handicapped. Can I say the word? Can I say the R word? I can't say it. I'm afraid they'll shut down my YouTube channel. But that's what you are, and you're driving around and you hear Maryland man mistakenly deported. And because you are mentally something that ends with arted, it just goes right into your, you go, oh my God, that's terrible, because you're stupid. And so they can say that to you on the news, and they say it because it comes out of a bunch of different outlets and you hear it from different sources. Yeah, you go, I heard it from 30 different sources. Well, I checked all the sources. I checked CNN and ABC and CBS and NBC, and I checked all the sources and they all said the same thing. So that means it's got to be true because I'm fucking stupid. Yeah, you're stupid. And I am done pretending that I'm stupid, because I'm not. I'm done pretending like I'm just as stupid as everybody else, because I'm not. And I'm not going to pretend that I am anymore. You know when I really stopped pretending that I was just as stupid as the other guy? When they did the whole virus hoax thing. When I saw all the people acting stupid and putting on the masks and running around and grabbing all the toilet paper, I realized that there's no reason for me to pretend that I'm just as dumb as everybody else anymore so that I can get along with people. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm not going to pretend that I'm as stupid as everybody else I see just so I can get along with other people. I'm not going to do it anymore. Sorry if that hurts your feelings. But I'm not an idiot. But if you drive around in your car and you hear that he was a Maryland man and that he was mistakenly deported, you're stupid. You're stupid. You don't like ask any questions, and you just believe stupid things. But let's find another. So they all say the same thing. Let's find another one. So here's NBC. Here's the headline: Wife of man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. He wasn't mistakenly deported. He wasn't mistaken. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. He wasn't mistakenly deported because it wasn't a mistake. There was no mistake made, but they all say the same thing.
Stop playing political games with the life of Kilmer.
How about why are you? What do you do? How come you're? Why are you? What are you? Why are you committing crimes in my country? Why are you even here? Why are you even here? I don't understand. Can we have separate countries? I mean, I'm an American and you're an El Salvadorian. Why can't we live in separate countries? What's so wrong about that? I think that's fine. And so here's another one. ABC 7 News and this is local news. Let's just hear. Listen how they say this, right?
For the story this morning, Joy Wang is at the alert desk with a rundown of
What's her name? Wang. So here's the news, right? And it's Wang. She's like a Asian lady, and then next to her is like some Hispanic guy. What country is this? Is this America? Is this supposed to be America?
the story this morning. Joy Wang is at the alert desk with a rundown of Abrego Garcia's background.
But let's start things off with reporter John Gonzalez, who's live outside federal court in
Wang and Gonzalez. Welcome to America.
For the story this morning, Joy Wang is at the alert desk with a rundown of Abrego Garcia's background.
But let's start things off with reporter John Gonzalez, who's live outside federal court in Greenville.
Now you probably think I'm very racist. However, one of the nicest people I know and like currently is this Hispanic girl that works for my friend who's a mechanic, and she's so cool. She is the coolest. He hired her. I think because his son is dating or something. I'm not sure. I didn't ask, but anyway, she works there and she is so cool. So anyway, just in case anyone says you're just a racist, blah blah blah, whatever. Let's listen to some more of this.
For the story this morning, Joy Wang is at the alert desk with a rundown of Abrego Garcia's background.
But let's start things off with reporter John Gonzalez, who's live outside federal court in Greenbelt, Maryland, where John.
The point is, this is our country. So I like other people that are from different races or whatever. They're cool. But ultimately, here's the thing. America doesn't work without white people. There is no America without white people. It's just, there isn't. And so we're like a thing that you can't just become. So like this other person that I mentioned, like she's a Hispanic girl. She's really cool. She's really cool. She's just like a really nice girl, right? She's nice. I think she's dating my friend's son. She's really cool. But here's the point. We're the white race. And yeah, you're cool. And you can you can be part, we can have good relations with other people and stuff and work together and do different. But ultimately, America was founded by and for us. And it's there. If you like America, that means if you like America, that means you like white people, period. If you like America, that means that you like white people, because there is no America without white people. Without white people, there's no America. Zero. So if you say you like if you say you like America and you want to live in America, then that means you like white people and you want to be around white people, because that's what America is. And that's all America is, and that's all it will ever be. White people. Just like Germany. Just like UK, like if you say, "Oh, I like England," well, then by definition, that you're saying that you like the English people who are white people, and that you like their culture, which means you like them as a race, and that you like their culture, because there's no one else is English except for white people. White people are English. Now, there's people that I like Lennox Lewis. He's he's like an African American, not African American, African English guy, right? So he has English citizenship, and he's a big black African boxer guy, right? Cool guy. I think he was from Jamaica or something. And he has, he partakes in the English culture. There's certain, I'm sure he considers a lot of the stuff that he does English, but ultimately the English are a race of people. The Angles. It's a Germanic tribe, the Angles and the Saxons and the Celts. and the Nordics were up there, which are all, you have to understand, and the Scots and the Welsh, those are all kindred people, right? The Nordics and the Celts and the Angles and the Saxons are all kindred people from a common racial stock. So if you say you like America or you say like England, that means you like white people. That's what that means. And if you don't like us, then get the fuck out. And if you're going to come here and commit crimes, get the fuck out. What are you even doing here? That's why we finally have a president. Now, the Pope that's in Rome is a cuckold. He's a cuckold. He's a cuckold and he is a sodomite. Because the Catholic Church is a sodomite organization. It's a cuckold, sodomite, degenerate organization run by satanic perverts. Now, the people that join it are often good people. And this is something I noticed a long time ago because I noticed it about America. Is that in America, I've always noticed that you have all these really good people. And all the people that I know that are Americans are really nice people. And they want what's best for everybody because they like people and they care about people and they want what's best for everybody. But at the same time, they've been supporting a network out of Washington, D.C. through going back for decades, through multiple presidents, you know, whether it be back as far as I can remember, even through Reagan and even through Bush and then Clinton and Bush and Obama and Biden. There's a network that's within there, which is purely satanic. And that's where you get the Marina Abramovics and the Hillary Clinton weirdo stuff and the John Podesta weirdo stuff that all came out in the WikiLeaks, which is why Julian Assange was arrested and sent to prison, because he exposed just how strange and perverted and satanic these people actually are. This is who they really are, right? So that network still exists. That network has not been ripped up. It's all there. They're running the gangs. They're running these gang terror networks out of Latin America into the U.S. So they're coming out. They're organizing them out of places like El Salvador and Venezuela and Mexico and bringing them into the U.S. And they're using them as a network of organized crime on behalf of the Vatican, on behalf of the Pope, with the CIA, with the unions in America, the AFL-CIO, and maybe other unions that are international unions. So they're unions, but they're organized internationally. See, if they were just some kind of what do you call it, a guild that was like a local guild that was not international, it was just for the people that were here, you know, locally, and it was all organized locally, it probably wouldn't be that bad. But because it's this international guild, right? It's not even really a guild. It's this international network tied to the Vatican and part of that network. Now it's going to be used to carry out the Pope's agenda. And that's what's been happening for decades now. And that's why America has failed. That's why we're even in this position at all, that we have to listen to what Chinese say, and they're going to start a trade war with us and try and bully us around. Because of this, because of the war by the Pope, specifically the Vatican and his agents in the Jewish mafia too. Can't forget about them. The Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith. He couldn't have done it without them. They do a lot of work for the satanic global Pope network. But anyway, all this organized crime garbage all emanates out of Rome and the Vatican and the Pope. So what I was saying is you have good people that support this because they don't know any better. And when they see evil, they just go like this. When they see the evil, they just cover their eyes and they don't want to see it. And they just go, well, Jesus will figure it out. No, bro, you got to figure it out. Do you or do you not have the logos? Say you've been sold a false Christ. That's why you're waiting for something else to figure out. It's your job because the animative force in the universe lives through you. But let's go back to this shit.
hearing on this topic later today. That's right, and we'll see how much pull this hearing will have with this case because, boy, those words sent shockwaves from the White House yesterday. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele saying that he will not release Kilmer Abrego Garcia, the man who was mistakenly deported.
He wasn't mistakenly deported. It wasn't a mistake. Why do they keep saying the same thing? Because they're agents of the Vatican, and they've got a script written for them by some secret society. That's why they're all saying the same thing, because these are totally disconnected news organizations, right? I mean, CNN isn't ABC, and CBS isn't NBC, and Face the Nation is different than so why are they all saying the same thing? Because they've all been given a script by somebody. By somebody. It's a secret society connected to the Vatican. That's what I'm saying. You don't believe me. You don't believe me. That's fine. But I'm just telling you.
Federal prison.
Why is this guy? This is ABC 7 News WJLA. That's a local news station. Why is he repeating the lines, the script of CNN, of Face the Nation, of CBS? Why are they all saying the exact same thing?
That federal prison to that gang prison in El Salvador, even describing Abrego Garcia as a terrorist. Now, President Trump's top advisors have also stated that they have no basis for the Central American nation to return Abrego Garcia. So what happens next? Well, we know that later this afternoon, a federal judge here at the U.S. District Courthouse in Greenbelt will hold a hearing taking up the case. But there is a strong possibility that the Prince George's County father and husband may never.
Notice how they call him father and husband. What about all the fathers and husbands that are in prison in America? What about all the J6 people that they locked up that were fathers and husbands? Do you remember the media coming out? He's a father. He's a father. He can't go to prison. He's a father. No, they were happy. They shot a girl in the head, in the face. Ashley Babbitt. They shot her in the neck. And that was great. They all applauded that. The U.S. government applauded that because they're run by the Jesuits, because they're run by the Pope and his agents in the CIA, who are totally, completely racist against white people specifically. It's the Kalergi plan. They want to kill you. They want to kill you. They want to kill you. And that's why they back these terror groups out of Latin America, because they want to kill you, because they hate you and they want you dead. That's why. Just like they shot Ashley Babbitt. Guy got away with murder. They can kill you all day. But when it comes to him, he's a father. Oh! Let's listen to some more of this garbage.
May never return. I spoke with a senior policy.
He's an El Salvadorian citizen. Why would he return? Why? He's living in his own country. And the guy who runs the country threw him in a prison. What does it have to do with America? Nothing. What is it? Why are they all repeating this shit? I already told you.
May never return. I spoke with a senior policy analyst for the immigration team at the Center for American Progress. She's afraid that without due process.
Center for American Progress? See, Sean Hannity wants you to believe that it's because they're liberal, because they use names like this. So when you repeat the line that they're liberal, when you say, well, they're just a bunch of liberals. See, that's how they keep tricking you. That's how they keep tricking you. Because they've got you repeating their propaganda that they're the liberals, that they're the liberals. Not that they're organized crime and they're trying to kill you, but they're the liberals. And liberals love everybody. And that's their problem, is that they love everybody so much. And that's why they're bringing in the terrorists and the gang members to kill me, because they're so liberal. That's literally the brainwashing that Sean Hannity has done to you for decades.
May never return. I spoke with a senior policy analyst for the immigration team at the Center for American Progress. She's afraid that without due process in cases like this, it leaves legal residents vulnerable, and many should be very concerned.
President Trump has.
She's also not an American. So they put her face on there. She's a Latin American. So she's like from some other country. Maybe she was born here, but she's not white. So she's not one of us. That doesn't mean I hate other people. But the white race we're the Americans. Sorry, we're the USA Americans. I know that Latin America is America, South America is America, but we are the quote unquote Americans of the United States of America. Those of us who are white and are born here, we're the actual Americans. So the people that are defending all this are more foreigners backed by these Jesuit networks out of Rome.
And many should be very concerned.
President Trump has done this with Putin, where he has swapped prisoners in exchange for others. So Trump has the power to make this call and ask for his return.
Why would we do that? He's not an American. This guy's an El Salvadorian gang member. Why would we want him back? It doesn't even make sense.
There is no reason why these two presidents are saying that they can return him when we've
This
seen
is
it
so
done
dumb.
before.
Do these people? So here's the thing. This is called. Is it just? Is this girl who's talking? This is my question now. She looks normal, right? Is she just? Is this the IQ level of people from Latin America? And they're like their IQ is like this, or do they really believe this? Because this Bukele guy, to be honest, he's an Arab. Okay, he's actually an Arab from I think Lebanon. But and like he changed the country overnight into a normal country, one of the safest countries in the world. It went from the murder capital to one of the safest countries in the world. And it took an Arab to do that from Lebanon. So are the Latin American people is the reason why their countries are violent and dirty because of them? Is it just that's how they are? Because she's like they've got her this. But here's the other thing. This is on like a real news channel, ABC News, WJLA. Is that in Louisiana? How are people this stupid? Is it they're just stupid or are they insane? I don't know. Why do I have to live in a world where people are this dumb? Why do I have to live in a world with people this stupid? I don't know. This is idiotic. Let's listen to some more.
There is no reason why these two presidents are saying that they can return him when we've seen it done before.
Now,
How is this a real story on the news?
There is no reason why these two
Oh my God,
presidents
this
are
is
saying that
Fox. It says Fox Atlanta. You gotta be kidding me.
there is no reason
No, that's the
why
one below. We'll
these
listen to
two
that one
presidents
next.
are saying that they can return him when we've seen it done before.
Now, a senior immigration and customs enforcement official said in a sworn statement that Abrego Garcia, quote, is no longer eligible for withholding of removal, unquote, because of the Trump administration's claim that he was once a member of the MS-13 gang, even though no evidence of that had.
So, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. There's no evidence of that. Just imagine for a second. Would the media be doing all this if it was me? And they had recordings of me saying stuff they don't like. And but I'm an American. But let's say I was here from France. I came over from France. And I'm like, hey, I don't know. I don't believe in the Holocaust or something. And they'd be like, oh my God. And then I was wrongfully, supposedly, deported. Would all the media be backing me and be like, no, bring him back in? He wasn't supposed to be deported. No, they wouldn't. The reason they're doing this is because this guy works for a network run by the Pope and some secret society connected to Washington, D.C. and the Jesuit order. Most likely the CIA.
Has surfaced. Coming up later this hour, what Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland is planning to do. He says he'll even travel to El Salvador. Reporting live, John Gonzalez, 7 News.
He doesn't. I hope Bukele doesn't let him into El Salvador. Why would he? Okay, here's the Fox News. Let's see how they report it. Oh, so far they put mistakenly in quotes, which means they're probably catching on here. Let's see.
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court.
Yeah, we don't
and
have to hear that. That's just normal, logical, normal governments, which is what we want. Trump thanks El Salvador's Bukele on help for immigration.
Everyone.
Real dang. Okay. Here's ABC News. So, oh, here the ABC News again. Let's listen to this stupid report.
To El Salvador's president saying he won't return a wrongfully deported man.
Wrongfully deported. Why do they all say this? Why do they all say this? He wasn't wrongfully deported. He was deported on purpose. It wasn't an error. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't, oh, somebody messed up. Why do they keep saying this? Why does the news, these are the major news media outlets that are tied directly to Washington, D.C. They've got like the picture of the Capitol building in the back because that's a Jesuit, because they work for the Pope. They work for the Pope and the CIA. And the Pope and the CIA run organized crime networks all over America to kill Americans, to bring in drugs that kill Americans, to traffic all kinds of stuff, child sex trafficking, human trafficking, adult human trafficking, drugs, heroin, cocaine. Right? There's a part of the CIA that runs all that stuff on behalf of the Pope in Rome, who is a homosexual sodomite cuckold. The whole Roman Church is based on being a cuckold pervert. It's a pervert cult. It's a crime. It's an organized crime pervert cult. So remember that next time you see Gavin Newsom, next time you see Justin Trudeau, next time you see Nancy Pelosi, next time you see Joe Biden, because they're all part of it. They're all part of it. And next time you see people that I like Nick Fuentes, who promotes it and tells you to become a Roman Catholic. Really? You want to join this? That's what you want to join? A criminal organization that's killed off the white races of Europe and America? That's what you want to join? Thanks a lot, Nick. Thanks a lot, Nick. No thanks. Thanks, but no thanks, Nick. See how
to El Salvador's president saying he won't return a wrongfully deported man
Wasn't
sent
wrong.
to his country's notorious prison from the United States. Nayib Bukele meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office just a
This is
short time ago
crazy.
today, as the president says he will.
How is this guy, because this is a white guy talking on ABC News. This is literally like, this is why there's no such thing as white supremacy. Because white people are this stupid that you can literally pay them to go on ABC News and say these types of things that are so idiotic. So how can there be white supremacy when there's white people that are this stupid as this idiot on ABC
He will
News?
not follow an order from the Supreme Court to bring home a Maryland man. The Department of Justice.
Who runs the Supreme Court? Jesuits. 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 If you look at who runs the Supreme Court, they're Catholics. It's run by Catholics. Catholics and Jews who went to a Catholic school like Georgetown University, a Catholic Jesuit. So the Supreme Court of the United States is run by Catholics, and they're saying you got to bring the Latin American gang members back, and you can't deport the Latin American gang members. They have a right to be here, according to the Catholics that run the Supreme Court. There's Catholics running the Supreme Court, and then there's Jews who go to Catholic schools like Georgetown University, and then they become lawyers and they become judges, and then they get to tell us, the American people, what to do. Hopefully that comes to an end forever, because this is not something we can tolerate at all. We can't tolerate this. It's horrible. It needs to come to an end.
He will not follow an order from the Supreme Court to bring home a Maryland man. The Department of Justice.
A Maryland man,
was wrongfully sent to El Salvador. Remember, the Supreme Court has ordered that Kilmar Abrego Garcia be brought back to the United States, but the Trump
Fuck
administration
the
is saying
Supreme
it won't
Court.
do that.
They can shove it up their
Bukele
ass.
Just now saying that he doesn't.
They can
believe
shove
he
it up their
has
Catholic
the power.
Jesuit ass.
Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm Washington suggested that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right? How can I smuggle How can I return him to the United States? Like if I smuggle him into the United States, what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the.
Joining me now is ABC senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer and ABC's Matt Rivers. Matt, I do want to start with you. A question in two parts for you. One, what is your takeaway from what you just saw in the Oval Office? And also, you have
how are this white guy so stupid that he would be
of Bukele
even talk like this? And
you've investigated it. Give me an understanding of what it's like there as we hear the president in the Oval Office talk about using that facility potentially more in the future.
oh my God.
Yeah, it's a good question, Jay. I think let's start with the fact that it's not a
This is
preposterous
Matt
question
Rivers.
to
He's a
ask
white guy too, and he's
President
really
El
upset
Salvador,
that
who's
the
currently
El Salvadorian
holding
terrorist has been
this
deported.
person the U.S. government's own attorneys have said was wrongfully deported to El
And
Salvador.
the attorney said it was
President El
wrong.
Salvador.
Oh,
It's not a
fuck
preposterous
you,
question,
man.
and quite frankly, it could be done.
Matt
because the United
Rivers.
States
What a
has already
dork.
said if El Salvador wants to send this
What a
person back,
dork.
they
We
would
should send Matt
facilitate
Rivers
that.
to the El Salvador prison, and I didn't want to say what should happen to him in there. Matt Rivers, you fucking piece of shit. Actually, I can't even think like that. I'm such a civilized person, and I'm so against violence that I just any kind of impulses like because I hate these people so much, right? But then I'm like, yeah, and then I like, no, can't do it, can't do it.
That transfer. So how to do it? The idea that he would have to somehow smuggle this person back to the United States, that is preposterous.
No,
However,
Matt, you are
what
preposterous,
see
you
from,
fucking
in
dork,
lockstep
you
with
piece
both
of
President
shit.
Bukele and Trump is that they believe this is a very winnable issue for them in the public domain because the other side
It's
has
not
to
an
argue
issue,
the
bro.
opposite.
It's
The
our
other side
fucking
has
job is
say,
to keep
we don't
criminals
like
out of the
gang members.
country.
Maybe this guy's affiliated with MS-13. We're not totally sure.
Oh, I'm not sure if he's with MS-13 or not. So, but I'm just gonna pretend like he has a right to be in my country. You're so stupid, dude. You're so fucking stupid. I can't believe that these people exist. This is why America is literally look. There's some beautiful parts of California. Beautiful. But we're surrounded and mixing among us are total morons like this idiot Matt Rivers and all these foreign people that come here. And they must be really stupid because listen to what we have to deal with. Why are we even thinking about this? Why is this even happening? This never would have happened if America was still predominantly white. And those who would who would have lived among us, who were not white, would have been living way better among a large white population than under this shit that we have today in America. Because this is crap.
But everyone, no matter who you are, is afforded due process. It's a very complicated argument.
Everyone's not afforded due process, actually. Says who? Matt? Who says that they are? Who said, oh, it's so complicated? No, it's not, Matt. We're the Americans. The guy that was here wasn't American. He was a foreigner and he was a criminal. And now he's gone. Who cares? See, as an American, I'm only truly responsible for my fellow Americans. Like we're in something together. And foreigners from other countries aren't. And I've said before, and I'll say it a million times, we can have good relations with other people and they'll benefit from their association with us. But it's our association. It's our thing. Just like if I'm in someone else's country, that's their thing. This is our thing. That's their thing, right? El Salvador is Bukele's thing. And if I were to go to El Salvador, I would respect him as the leader and the laws of his country because I'm a normal person. I'm a normal person. And I want to live in a normal country with other people that are not totally stupid.
But everyone, no matter who you are, is afforded due process. It's a very complicated argument to make versus what you heard from Nayib Bukele, which is just, oh, do you like terrorists? You want them on your street? He's going to win that argument in the court of public opinion every single time, and they know that. When it comes to the conditions inside that prison, Jay, it's really bad. There's no other way to put it. I've seen worse prisons in my career, but this one was really rough. I mean, they never go outside. They're outside of their cells 30 minutes a day, maximum only within the cell block, at least 80 people to a cell.
Don't
2
care
toilets at any given time.
You know that I know a guy, and I wrote him when he was in prison. I don't know him personally. Matt Hale. I don't know Matt Hale personally. Matt Hale is in a supermax prison right now, or he's in a federal prison right now, somewhere in America. I don't know where. But I wrote him a letter once, and because I cared enough about him to write him a letter. He didn't commit a crime, other than his crime was he was a racist, and he organized a racist organization. And in that racist organization, one of his members went psycho and started killing people. But Matt Hale didn't tell him to do it. And that wasn't even what Matt Hale was doing. Matt Hale was, but that's the thing, is when you have these kind of fringe organizations, you end up with weirdos in it, which is why you have to be really careful about who you associate with. And Matt Hale liked this guy, and so, and he whatever. But Matt Hale never committed a crime. He didn't hurt it. He never killed anybody. I don't know what they charged him with, but they made up some bullshit crime, and they ran it through their bullshit court system just to break up his organization and to throw him in prison for life because he was a racist. And he was a racist. That's what he was. He was an actual racist. And he's in prison today. Who did he kill? Nobody. Someone in his organization did, but he didn't tell him to do it. I mean, if you're in a criminal organization, you order a hit or hurt or a crime, then you are involved in the crime, right? You can go to prison. He didn't even do that. So I don't know. They just wanted to find a way to put him in prison, and they managed to do it. It's the same thing they try to do with like a lot of these people with the whole new. It's different, but see that Matt Hale went to prison a long time ago. But this is the kind of thing they do. They didn't do it to everybody. They did it to select people in the past, so that it didn't catch on. Like nobody really cared because it was just this one guy, and nobody could prove he didn't do it. And then now it's like, remember with the J6 stuff, they just started rounding up Americans like crazy. And then they started taking people off the internet. They started debanking everybody. And they started throwing people that were in Trump's cabinet or associated with Donald Trump. They just started throwing them in prison, right? It's the same people that are backing this El Salvadorian terrorist. The same people, same group, same people, same media channels. You know who it is through the media. That tells you who it is. It's the same people.
Books, no pictures, no loved ones, no contact with the outside world. It is rough, and it is by design to be rough because the government of El Salvador says it's needed as a deterrent to what was a massive crime problem in that country.
And it worked.
Again, this man from Maryland at the Department of Justice.
The man from Maryland. They keep repeating that on purpose because it's a cult. It's a secret society that they're part of.
Justice has admitted in open court was wrongfully.
It's okay. And what kind of a cult is it? It's an LGBT BLM cult tied to the Catholic Church. That's what this is. Now, the other thing is, because of the ADL, everybody's blaming the Jews. And I've blamed the Jews for a lot of stuff that Jews have been involved in. And I talked about it on my videos. But this is the thing you have to understand. I don't think any of the people I'm watching on this channel right now, for instance, are Jews. I mean, maybe you could say, well, ABC is owned by Jews, and it probably is. But this is all tied to, this is bigger than Jews, okay? This is tied to Rome and the CIA, which is a Jesuit organization. Whatever crimes, like Jordan, my friend Jordan Maxwell used to say, and I didn't believe him at the time, but I'm starting to believe him now, is that whatever you think the Jews are doing, go look at the Vatican. You think the Jews are doing something? Go look at the Vatican. And he's right. Doesn't mean that there isn't Jewish organized crime, but you think the Jews are bad? Go look at the Vatican. This is the handiwork of the Vatican. The LGBT, BLM, terror networks, the crime networks, the drug trafficking, human trafficking, all this stuff. Some of it's done in cooperation with the Jewish mafia, and some of it's just done like this through MS-13 or these other gangs that are run through Latin America by the Pope in Rome, Pope Francis.
Justice has admitted in open court was wrongfully sent to that prison.
No one's
there
admitted
now
that.
As we speak. Justice has admitted in open court was wrongfully sent to that prison, is there now as we speak. Justice has admitted in open court was wrongfully sent to that prison, is there now as we speak. Justice has admitted in open court was wrongfully sent to that prison, is there now as we speak.
Okay, no one gives a shit, dude. It's not an error. It wasn't wrong. It wasn't a mistake. He's not a Maryland man. So, I mean, this is ridiculous. Okay, here's another one. First Coast News. Let's see what this says.
On Monday at the White House, things got heated as President Trump met with the president of El Salvador. Now, he has helped the Trump administration in recent months by accepting the return of foreign nationals who committed crimes in the U.S. At the center of the controversy, a man from El Salvador who was removed from the U.S. and then sent to prison in the Central American nation. A judge ordered Kilmar Garcia to be deported and denied an asylum request after he was found to be a member of the MS-13 cartel, that's a foreign terrorist organization. But the cartel's conflict with a rival cartel pushed courts to delay his deportation under a program called Temporary Protected Status. Last month, the United States deported Garcia to El Salvador. White House officials then said this was an administrative error, and the Supreme Court ordered the U.S. to facilitate his return.
This report is actually pretty factual. I'm actually impressed with this report. The way she's reporting it explains what actually happened. So good for that one. That was a decent report, actually. Notice how all the big names though are all reporting it by mischaracterizing everything. CBS, ABC, CNN. They are all mischaracterizing everything about the story to brainwash you. Whereas that one was actually pretty good. Let's try this one.
President Trump and El Salvador's president both said they don't intend to bring a man deported to El Salvador back to the U.S.
That's pretty good. A man deported to El Salvador back to the U.S. Yeah. Oh, here's the National Desk. Here they're calling him a Maryland man again. Let's try this.
Salvadorian. That is his country of nativity and citizenship. He is an illegal alien in the United States. He has no lawful right to be here. He was issued a final order of removal from this country. And so it's up to El Salvador.
Yeah, they're just going to, that's Stephen Miller. He's doing a good job. I really respect Stephen Miller. Amazing. Let's see what's the name. If I find the name of this guy, I'm going to put in the name of this person. I'm not going to say his name though. Because I live in California, which is run by Jesuits. And they're running these criminal gangs all over America. And they've got them all over the place. That's why America is such a fucking shithole. Because of the CIA and the Catholic Church and the Jesuit order and all their little minions that run the governments on behalf of the Pope and a network of terrorists and criminals and drug dealers and perverts and sodomites like the Pope in Rome, a cuckold sodomite piece of trash. The Pope. That's who these criminals work for. They work for the Pope. Just like my friend Jordan Maxwell said, you think the Jews are doing something, go look at the Pope. Go look at what the Pope is doing. He was right about that. I'm starting to think he was right about that. Jewish mafia has done a lot, but they're not doing everything. Look at this shit. Here's the Daily Show with a Jew, Jon Stewart. Let's see what this idiot says. Now, Stephen Miller's a Jew, and he's pretty cool. But here's this other Jew that I hate, Jon Stewart. Let's see what he says.
Stewart, we got us a show for you tonight. The great comedian Rami Youssef will be joining us.
Let's see if anything he says is actually funny, because this is supposed to be comedy, right? Let's see if it makes me laugh.
We will head to space on Blue Origin.
Okay, not funny.
Where I will sing something delightful from the Katy Perry oeuvre.
Not funny.
But first, quick update.
Comedian.
We've been following the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Undocumented migrant from El Salvador, married an American woman, has a kid, living the American dream. Until the Trump administration sent him to an El Salvadorian mega prison by, and I'm quoting the Justice Department here, if I may, is an administrative error.
Why is he saying this? Why is Jon Stewart saying this? This is going to make people hate Jews. You know that? Stephen Miller is really like the ideal Jew that you'd ever want to be friends with. And then you got somebody like Jon Stewart. But see, what happens is people see Jon Stewart, and here's another Jewish guy screwing them over on behalf of crime gangs. And this is what makes people hate Jews. And they're like, oh, he's Jewish. That's why he's doing this. He hates us because he's a Jew. Create some really, really bad. This just creates bad relations, bro. You guys are really fucking this up. That's why this whole Anti-Defamation League shit, where they promote, like the Anti-Defamation League literally promotes on their website, on their own website, they promote gay stuff with toddlers. The Anti-Defamation League. And the Anti-Defamation League's like literally tied to the FBI, to the local police, to the sheriff's department, to all the local governments. They go and meet with them, right? And they promote all the LGBT BLM stuff, just like the Pope. And it's like, it makes people hate Jews. It makes people hate Jews. And then you see like Jon Stewart, and he's like, he says this stuff. First of all, it's not funny. Second of all, this is some kind of script he's written by a secret society, which I'm saying is connected to the Pope and the CIA in Washington, D.C., some kind of faction in Washington, D.C. that answers to and is part of an agenda organized with the Catholic Church. But it just really, but people see him every day and they like, he's Jewish. And then they just assume like, well, he's Jewish. And then, you know, like these other people aren't Jewish, but they just must work for the Jews. I don't know, man. Maybe. Seems like there's a lot of popery involved, though, to me. Seems like there's a lot of popery involved.
If only there was a convenient and timely way that the prisoner could be brought back to the United States.
Oh, and then he's got screenshots behind him of barbed wire and gray, like we're in Auschwitz.
If only there was a convenient and timely way that the prisoner could be brought back to the United States that wouldn't really inconvenience either nation.
President Bukele at the moment flying from El Salvador to Washington, D.C.
Why would we bring him back? It just doesn't make any sense. How is it that I live in a country that's this stupid? I don't understand. Is it because it's run by Catholics and Jewish mafia? Is that why the country sucks so bad? I'm starting to believe that that's why. I'm going to tell you what I honestly believe. I believe that this country is so stupid, and that the media is this stupid, and that it's not just stupid, but it's like criminally insane stupid because it's run by the Catholic Church. That's why. I think that's why it's this bad. And yes, there's Jewish mafia, and they're a big part of it. But ultimately, I'm starting to believe this more and more every day, is that the reason why America has become such a gigantic shithole, just like every other shithole in the world run by the Catholic Church. Like, if you look at every country run by the Catholic Church, like all these Latin American countries that are run by the Catholic Church, they're all toilets. They're all shit. They're all violent, dirty, unsafe, run by criminals. Like, it's all trash. It's all, and the governments are all corrupt. And I think the reason is, other than the Jewish mafia, which is part of it, I think it's because it's run by the Catholic Church. I think the Catholic Church turns any normal society into a toilet, into a gigantic, violent, crime-ridden toilet. I'm starting to believe that more and more every day. And especially today, because I'm watching the news and this is what they're saying. And I believe that this is because the Catholic Church is involved in all these media channels with the Jewish mafia, but it's kind of like it's their thing that's being reported. Like, yeah, Jon Stewart's a Jew, and yeah, the news channel he's on is all administered by Jews and probably owned by Jews, but it's part of a bigger network that includes somebody else more than Jews. And it just so happens to be white people that are tied to the Vatican, and they turn everything into shit for some reason. And not just white people, but different races, because the Vatican is a cuckold organization. It's a race mixing, sodomite, cuckold organization. It's a criminal pervert organization. It's horrible. And when it gets involved in your government, this is what you get. You get toilet culture. You get perverted, crime infested, violent, dirty toilet culture, loaded with poison, just like the virus bullshit that was all run by the Pope and his minions in Washington, D.C. and the CDC and the United Nations. None of this is funny, dude. He's flipping his phone, his pen around.
Kelly can just give Garcia a ride.
Why would he?
You don't even have to give Garcia the middle seat. I'm sure Garcia would just grab the wing and Tom Cruise it over here if he had to.
That's not funny, dude.
But sadly, Kelly arrived at the White House with just the Miami club promoter clothes on his back and a pocket full of excuses.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
You know,
why are they booing that? That's so stupid.
This isn't even the thing that's like they're enjoying this. Like the two of them. Our president.
Oh, now he's pretending like he's serious.
I guess we'll just have to let him rot in a prison, even though he didn't deserve to be there. I don't. You guys.
What are you talking about? Didn't deserve to be there.
Are talking about these two, but somebody else cares about this person, and you just randomly, with no evidence that you'll show anybody, called him a terrorist. And one of the weirder parts about this is the only thing that seems to upset Trump about the entire situation.
Why do we have shit like Jon Stewart? This is so dumb, dude. This is why America became a shithole, because of shit like this.
To answer a perfectly reasonable question from Caitlin Collins.
He gave you an answer.
You said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country?
Exactly.
Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Nag, nag, nag.
Exactly.
You sound just like the Supreme Court.
Yeah, the Supreme Court. Yeah.
Court. Nag, nag.
Right. The Supreme Court is run by Catholics. The Supreme Court is run by the Catholic Church. It's a conspiracy against civilization to turn everything into a giant toilet. Because when everything's a giant toilet, two things happen. One, nobody has the resources or the organizational discipline to change the government. So that means the Catholic Church stays in power. And secondly, the more perverted and sick and degenerate and violent and criminal things are, the more you choose to fall. You want to join the church because they're the good people. See, it gets recruits. It gets recruits. The more destroyed your civilization is, the more you go looking for, well, where's the goodness? Oh, and they'll tell you, there's no salvation outside the church. There's no salvation outside the Roman church, because they'll fucking ruin your civilization. You'll be destroyed. So, hey, if you don't do what we say, you're going to live in a giant toilet. Thanks, Pope. You fucking fat. I can't say that. You fat boy. That's what I was going to say. I was going to call him fat. He's too fat. That's what I was going to call him. Fat. Anyway.
But fear not, America.
Notice how none of this is funny?
Every time a lamestream media journalist gets shunned, an ass-kissy one gets its wings.
You have a question?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you so much. Can you support another major investment win this morning? NVIDIA pledged to build its AI supercomputer, the first time ever, right here in the United States.
Nice.
That's a question I like. That's true. Yeah, that's not a question.
Yeah, well, your show isn't a comedy show.
I guess it's your favorite kind of question, a compliment.
Yeah, well, your show isn't a comedy show, and you're not a comedian. You're a
It's that first they
propagandist.
The undocumented migrants, and as long as nobody speaks out, they stop.
What?
You mentioned that you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens, but are criminals to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized Americans?
If it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem. I'm talking about really bad people. Really bad people. He's going to do that to U.S. citizens.
Good.
I think the hosts of The View are about to get administratively errored.
Good. Good. Good.
I got to tell you,
I think that's good.
I think he would get this authoritarian this fast.
I don't care what you
really
think.
Didn't.
What? Who says that you and I are in anything, John? John, who says that you and I are in something together? I never agreed to that. Never agreed to that, John. So, you know, I don't know. This is just, it's, first of all, your show isn't funny. Second, it's the same script that I just saw on CNN and ABC, CBS, Face the Nation, all these other channels. You're just reading from the same script. And whatever that script is, whoever put that script together for you, you're basically like a stranger to me, and you're a foreigner as far as I'm concerned. You are a foreigner. You're a foreigner, John. And goodbye. Goodbye, John. Oh my God. Fox 5 Washington, D.C. A Maryland man. See, even some of the Fox stations do this because they're kind of independently run. You know, like Fox News, the main channel, probably would say it differently, but here, listen.
A Supreme Court order and still no action. The federal government is under pressure to explain why a wrongfully deported Maryland man.
There you go. Wrongfully deported Maryland man. And it shows him with all his kids. Look, you know how many Americans are in prison that have children? Americans that are actually Americans, like American people that are in prison and they have kids at home that can't see them. Happens every day. Every day people go to prison and then they can't see their kids. But with this guy, he's an MS-13 gang member, and he's a citizen of some other country. And all they do is say that he was wrongfully deported, and it was a big mistake, and the government made a mistake, and then they show him with his kids, so you feel sorry for him. Why not show all the Americans that are got locked up for J6 and their kids couldn't see him, or the grandmas that got locked up, basically got forced by the government to plead guilty or face decades in prison for a crime they actually know they didn't do, but you know. There's no law for there's no justice for them, so they just have to say, okay, I'm guilty, I'll say whatever I have to say, I don't want to go to prison for decades. Right? Same people that are showing him with his, oh look, he has a child, we can't put him in a prison in his own country, he was mistakenly deported. Bullshit. All lies.
I want to bring in Jason Hauser.
Oh, look, more stupid white people that are going to read these stupid lines about how, on behalf of MS-13, this is MSNBC, is going to basically read bullshit lines on behalf of MS-13. Why? Because of the Vatican. Because they're run by a secret society that writes scripts for them on behalf of the Roman system.
I want to bring in Jason Hauser, former Chief of Staff for Immigration and Customs Enforcement during the Biden administration. Jason, thank you very much.
Jason, hey bro, what's up, Jason?
Reading all of this, specifically on the Abrego Garcia case.
Oh, he even said it with like a Hispanic tongue rolling. He's going to give him a tongue bath.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Quite frankly, I see this as purely political theater.
Oh,
no time in the history of the Department of Homeland Security or counterterrorism operations, immigration operations at the department that we would not be able to bring this individual back to the United States.
So
this seems to be purely.
The Department of Homeland Security was founded after somebody, Jesuits. George Tenet was the CIA director at the time. He's a Jesuit, Georgetown University. CIA director George Tenet blew up the World Trade Center, whatever group he was with, blew up the World Trade Center. And then they brought in Homeland Security. Bush did, because they had all the laws and stuff ready to go. So don't tell me about Homeland Security and whatever, because that's how it started. It started with Jesuit CIA director George Tenet bombing the World Trade Center in New York on 9/11. So that's how that started.
A decision made at the White House to sort of make this individual an example, to show the punitiveness of where Stephen Miller and others want to take our immigration process. There's half dozen ways that DHS or ICE or CBP or State Department or the Department of Defense could bring him home tomorrow.
We don't need to bring him. Bring him home. He is home. He's in El Salvador. That's his home. His home is El Salvador. What are you talking about? Bring him home.
Bring him home tomorrow.
Bring him home. He's in El Salvador. That's his home.
Bring him home tomorrow.
Oh my God. These people are such cuckolds, dude. I can't even believe this is real. I can't even believe this is real. This is Roman Catholicism, dude. The only way to explain this, something this stupid, is that it's a Roman cult. It's a Roman Catholic cult. This is a Roman Catholic cult.
Home tomorrow,
This isn't the Jews doing this. Hey, listen, I'm going to say it again. It's not the Jews doing this. This degree of mental illness, because the people I'm listening to, they're not Jews. This guy talking, he's not Jewish.
Bring him home tomorrow. Quite frankly,
this is Roman Catholicism. That's why it's this stupid. Roman Catholicism.
Bring him home tomorrow.
Bring him home tomorrow. He's not. This isn't his home. This is not his home. Stupid.
Bring him home tomorrow. Quite frankly, I'm sure there's this week another deportation removal flight that's happening in the area of El Salvador. He could be brought home there. He could be brought home on a commercial flight. Whether the contract between El Salvador and the United States government to hold these individuals, put that aside, this individual could be brought home.
He is at home, stupid. This is Roman Catholicism. There's no other way to explain it. There's no other way to explain a country that is this backward and stupid and nonsensical other than Roman Catholicism.
And more notably, the president over the weekend is tweeting. And more notably, the president over the weekend is tweeting about how these individuals, the migrants that do come here, should be hardworking and upstanding citizens within our communities. It's exactly who, quite frankly, the evidence that we've seen in the media this individual was. You had the building trades union leaders this last week screaming for this individual to be brought back because he's a union brother.
Right, he's in the union, building trades union, run by the Pope. That's what I was telling you. That it's run through the I told you they're connected to the unions, dude. That's the whole point. That's why. That's what it is, dude. Oh my God. Trade union. Which union is it? That's what it is, dude. It's the Pope. 100%. Smart Union stand. Oh, he's a first-year apprentice. Smart Local 100. Wow, Smart Union. What is that? Yeah, dude, it's the unions. That's what this is. I told you. I told you. I told you. I told you. What is Smart TD? Transportation Division. Unwavering Solidarity. Why is this guy even working in our country? And then he joins this union, right? Right. He's in a union. The unions are standing with them. That's what this is. That's what this is. Who we are. Yeah. What the hell, dude? That's crazy. These unions are run by the Pope and they're operating in America and they're connected to these criminal organizations. That is exactly what I've been saying the whole time. Leadership. I want to find out if this is. Here's the union leader, Michael Coleman. Sounds Jewish. Here's the secretary, John Daniel. Doesn't sound Jewish. Ferguson, not Jewish. But definitely agents of. Oh, look, they're based in Washington, D.C. They're based in Washington, D.C. Right, in Washington, D.C. And I bet you that they're part of a union group that's international. I wouldn't be surprised. They might just be based in Washington, D.C. Who we are. What does it say? Priorities. Why join? Oh, look, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Resources. Get involved, action. Be for all. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about this union, but I'm telling you what, they are. I wonder if there's any evidence that they're like directly connected to the Pope, like AFL-CIO. Transportation Union. Crazy time. That's what this is. That's another reason why they're all backing him, because it's part of this union network. Let's see. Oh, look, Smart Union. Okay, international. So here we go. It's an international association. It's not just based in Washington, D.C. This is what I'm telling you. International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, and Rail. It's an international association with headquarters in Washington, D.C. Affiliations, AFL, CIO, CIA, Pope, Vatican. That's the Vatican. That's what I've been telling you the whole time. That's the Vatican. It's an international union based in Washington, D.C. That's the Vatican. That's how they control America. That's how they control the crime gangs in America, with the unions, with the CIA. There you go. This union should be crushed. Any international union should be crushed. If you want to form a union that's just of Americans for Americans, okay, you can have that. But once you say that you're connected to foreign governments around the world, then you're not an American. You're not an American. If you're going to form a union, you can form one that's just Americans and just for Americans. But once you say that you're tied to some group like the Vatican or some other foreign government, now you're not one of us. You're no longer one of us. You're an enemy. You're the enemy. You're the enemy. You're the enemy if you do that. You are the enemy if you do that. Oh, and America is saturated with enemies, which is why it's a giant toilet, which is why it's a gigantic, violent, disgusting, crime-ridden, LGBT, BLM toilet run by the Pope because of that. That's why.
You are doing a great job. Thank you.
We need more of whatever Trump's doing. We need to totally extricate the white race out of this shit, out of the Roman system, and the Pope. If anyone deserved to be arrested and put in prison, it's the Pope. and the people associated with him, and all of the agents down going through the CIA and all the intelligence services connected to the Pope in America and Washington, D.C., and all the unions connected to the Pope, they all need to be dismantled, crushed, and destroyed. Here's one more idiot.
News 4 at 5 begins with breaking news.
First at 5 tonight, deja vu for the family of a Maryland man mistakenly deported.
There you go. What else can I say? Maryland man. All right. Well, with that, I guess I'll end off. Have a good night.